You clicked on this video for a reason. And what I'm about to tell you is the opposite of everything you've ever heard your entire life. You're not too short to be an NFL linebacker. Now, if you're really a linebacker fanatic, you know all of the guys I'm about to name. The legendary Zach Thomas was a dog for the Miami Dolphins. Nick Bolton, David Long Jr., Ivan Pace Jr., Devin Bush. Let's not act like you don't know what he was coming out of Michigan before the unfortunate injury. Now, one thing that all of those guys have in common, they're sub 6 feet. You think about that threshold for these NFL linebackers. You got to run fast. You got to be tall. You got to have long arms. But what I want us to focus on today is that that's not always the case. And I'm not saying it's easy to be a sub 6 foot linebacker in the NFL. But what I'm saying is, if you focus on what we're going to talk about in today's video and you're really honing on your craft, it can be done. Because you think about college, you think about high school. If you're not 6 feet and plus, you're probably being taught, okay, you can go D2. You can get a lot of D3 offers. If you run a 4.5, you can go D1. But that's just not the case. And we're going to talk about it today. Now, as we go through film for today's video, we're going to be focusing on Ivan Pace Jr., undrafted rookie out of Cincinnati, had all of the accolades, was All-American, All-Conference player, Conference Defensive Player of the Year. He had it all, but he still went undrafted because he's sub 6 feet. There's just no way around us talking about that for today. Doesn't have long arms, but he's a dog. And I want us to get into this first place so we can really understand how does he focus on what he's good at and how does he maximize those strengths to try to hide some of those weaknesses. Now, this first play really showcases the most important thing ever when we talk about linebackers, and specifically if you're on the shorter side, reading your keys. We have an inside zone run to the offense's right and the defense's left. Now, what I want you to look at is how Ivan Pace Jr. is pacing as he reads his keys here and understand how to mirror the back. So we got the run right here. And we're looking at Ivan Pace Jr. Now, key thing we have to focus on here, he doesn't just trigger downhill because he'll get himself blocked. You see that the guard is down blocking. He can get up to the second level if Ivan Pace Jr. triggers too fast. But understanding, we want to keep hands off us. We're not the biggest guy. We're standing at 5'10", 230. If we get a guard's hands on us, we're going to lose right here. So I have to be patient. I'm coming downhill a little bit, but I'm staying lateral. I'm not going at the angle. Now, when I look at this running back and I see him cutting back, my hands are still free. I'm still unblocked. Now I can mirror the back. And this is where we talk about lateral movement. You have to be a great lateral mover when we get in this phone booth, when we're at the line of scrimmage. He sees the back cut back. I'm now lateral. I'm making this tackle. Boom. And one thing we're going to see throughout this video, if you're on the smaller side, you got to tackle low. You see highlights oftentimes and people are hitting with their shoulder pads. They're hitting up high, up top. That's just not how you want to play football, especially if you're undersized at the linebacker position. However, let's get to the next play. Now, this is something that I also want us to focus on, and this is all linebackers, whether you're the tallest, tall, short, or the shortest. Tackle numbers do not reflect good linebacker play. You can have the most tackles in the world. That doesn't mean you're sound as a linebacker. That doesn't mean you're properly reading your keys. Now, this is why we say that. Because we have 11 personnel here. Number 16 is a wide receiver. He just tightened down and split. I want you to look at Ivan Pace Jr. on this play and how he creates a play without even making the tackle. Now, we have an inside zone run by the Las Vegas Raiders. Ivan Pace Jr., the A-gap opens up wide. He can come downhill, trigger, and make this tackle. But the running back is smart too. These guys get paid too. Now he's trying to cut it back. But when he cuts it back, he's going into a wall of defenders. And why did he cut it back? Because Ivan Pace Jr. triggered downhill into the proper gap. Now, it's a lot of space. But Ivan Pace Jr. can make that tackle. He would have made that tackle if the running back tried to get him one-on-one. Cut back into a wall of defenders. This is a play by Ivan Pace Jr., even though he didn't make the tackle. You got to read your keys. Now, next play. Let's talk about what we have here. And this is getting into the passing game. There's no way you thought we would get out of here without talking about any coverage. Now, Ivan Pace Jr., you got to be sound in coverage, man. Whether it's man coverage, whether it's communicating as a linebacker, letting your back guys know, and whether it's a safety, a corner, what are their assignments? What are we checking to? All of those things are very, very important. And like I said, this goes for all linebackers, but you're seeing it on the shorter side as well and how it plays out. Right here, we're just looking at Ivan Pace Jr. mugging in the gap. We got a slant by Devonta Smith. And what do we have here? Ivan Pace Jr. getting from out of that B gap. Now we're getting underneath this slant, and that's a game-winning interception. Understanding how to get to your landmarks, understanding where you have to be, having the quickness, focusing in on your assignment. That's the biggest thing. Because when we talk about athleticism, guys who are running 4.4, maybe they stand 6'3", they go 245. Coaches are stubborn. They're going to try to mold those guys into what Ivan Pace Jr. is already. So if he's always focusing on his assignment, if he's always on his keys, you can't take him off the football field. Even if you have the tallest, freakishly athletic linebacker that's playing behind him, he's doing his job so well, and you can trust him. That's the biggest thing. And also, what we're going to talk about as we get throughout these plays, Brian Flores, and I wish more coaches were like this. Now, you're not always going to have a coach who's really this lean and who's this great, but they let Ivan Pace Jr. play linebacker like he plays linebacker. I think oftentimes why you don't see a lot of linebackers at this size. Now, some of these guys just aren't Ivan Pace Jr. They're not Nick Bolton. They're not David Long Jr. But some of these guys are being coached to be Brian Urlacher when they're more like Zach Thomas. And of course, we're not talking literally. Zach Thomas is an all-time player, but we're talking about size and how can he win with his strengths, which may be different from a guy like Brian Urlacher. That's what I'm saying. Now, right here on this play, we got a game against the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is Ivan Pace Jr. being relentless. Now, I dropped a video about a year or two ago, how to be the perfect linebacker in one day. And one of the things that I talked about, one of the key tenets, I said you got to have range, you got to be a leader, you got to be a surefire tackler, but you got to be a dog. Either it's in you or you better find a way to get it in you. Now, Ivan Pace Jr. right here on this play, what I want you to focus on is he handles a coverage assignment, he handles a quarterback assignment in a scrambling game. We're sitting in our hook zone. We got number 3 coming across in the empty set. We're taking that away. Jalen Hurts has to look elsewhere. Now, we got a drag coming across. We step down on that and we pass it off. We communicate that. Now, we get back to our hook zone. Okay, Jalen Hurts. Now he's in scramble mode. Nothing is there. The corners, the safety is there holding up. Now, this is being relentless. We're going to chase you down. After handling our coverage assignments, we're chasing you down. These are the types of things that I say relentless. It's all effort the entire play until the whistle's blown. Now, when you take away a read and you get to the quarterback on a play like this, or you just make them scramble elsewhere, let somebody else get a tackle, these are the types of things you have to focus on. These are some plays where some people may let up. They may say, okay, the play is over. The play is not over. You still got to hunt. You still got to go get it. And we see this so many times from Ivan Pace Jr. Now, this is our next play versus the Green Bay Packers. They're in 12 personnel. They motion over their tight end, and they're just running power. Now, understanding when you get that pulling guard, you got to trigger. If it's really truly power. Now, you have to be patient, understand what it is. What do our other linemen look like they're doing? Now, they're down blocking, and we got a puller, and we got a running back coming across. This is telling us that is power. Now, once I understand this power, I got to get lateral, or I have to come at the angle if the gap shows open. The gap doesn't show wide open right here. The tackle, he gets up to the second level in Zach Tom. So now we have to understand, okay, how do I get past this guy? And this is a move you're going to have to add into your game, and it's the swipe. Just a simple swipe across the lineman and continue to get lateral, understanding you're already undersized, so you're a smaller target. It's going to be a little bit harder, especially if you got a quick twitch and you know how to move around in this phone booth. It's going to be harder for these guys to get their hands on you. And like I said, you're smaller, so you don't want them to get their hands on you. This is a great way to play power. Ivan Pace Jr. showcasing that. Now, remember a little earlier in the video, I said you want to tackle low. You want to get these guys down and you want to stop them without getting forward progress. This is a great example of that right here by Ivan Pace Jr., but it's also a great example of what I just talked about with that swim move. Now, sometimes you're going to use a swim move and the lineman is just going to miss you. Sometimes you'll engage with them and you just got to swim them and disengage. But right here, the lineman doesn't get a great feel for where Ivan Pace Jr. is. Now, once we clear this offensive lineman, A.J. Dillon has nowhere to go. He can continue to run straight. We can make that tackle. Or it'll be an assisted tackle with our defensive lineman chipping in, stopping progress. We come in. Or this can be a situation where he tries to cut it back. He can't go anywhere. Once we disengage that lineman like we do, now we can get upfield. Now it's just me, you. It's me and the running back. And like I said, A.J. Dillon, this is a big, big running back. But once we hit him low, we're stopping the progress right here. And of course, we have our guys who rally in, but this is how you make an open field tackle. This is how you get past the blocker. These are all the things you want to see, and it's really important, especially when you're on the shorter side. Now, we have another inside handoff. Once again, this is 12 personnel, but we could also call it 21 personnel just because kind of we have 81 playing as a wing, playing as that second back, but this is Josiah DeGuara. He's a tight end. So understanding what we have right here is Ivan Pace Jr. This is really, really something I want you to take to the bank and something that you have to add to your game today. The season is coming up. It's approaching rapidly. So I'm going to just let this play and I'm going to talk about what he does as the play develops. Now, we got 2 down blocks and we have a puller who's trying to get up to us. Ivan Pace Jr. automatically sniffing this out. He sees the down block. You replace and you fill. So now he's replacing, filling downhill. Jordan Hicks does fill the same gap, but still everything works out because Ivan Pace Jr. cleans it all up. Now, once he gets past this lineman, he knocks him off his path. He's beat the puller to the spot. Now he's going to dip. This is something that I want you to focus on, dipping. Now, you can't do it all the time. There's certain situations where you can dip under the blocker and still make a tackle. This is something that Ivan Pace Jr. has mastered. And you see it throughout other clips here where he's dipping under guys and still making tackles. If you don't learn anything else from this video, I want you to take this away. Master the dip and master the swim move. And also be very sound in your keys when doing this. As long as you can do these moves and still stay sound within your assignment, then it's a good move. I don't want you out here swimming, dipping, spinning around, getting out of your gap and giving up big gains. If you can do it within the boundary of your assignment, get it done and get to the football. Now right here, this was just too beautiful to leave out. And I'm going to say it. If nothing else makes you subscribe, this is the play that'll do it. Ivan Pace Jr., let's see what you got. Boom. Boom. It's just so sudden. This is what I talk about with the swim move. These offensive linemen, you're a smaller target as it is. You got to get these guys off balance. They're coming off the football. They're trying to block you. And it's really when you're a smaller linebacker, this is something that you know if you're a smaller linebacker. These guys hate when you're making tackles because how is he doing this? He's not a 6'3", 254 for a linebacker. How is he doing this? How is he defeating our run game as a smaller guy? We got to stop this guy, but you can't. He's constantly getting in the backfield. He's making these offensive linemen miss, and he's just a problem. Now, the last thing I want you to leave with, still got to cover, still got to be a dog, still got to have range, be relentless, be sideline to sideline. But these are the biggest things that we talked about while watching film that I want you to focus on. Let me know down below in the comments. Let's talk about it. What are you seeing? How do you think that Ivan Pace Jr. has utilized his strengths, even as an undersized linebacker? He's listed at 5'10". I think he's 5'9". Doesn't matter. Still a dog. Going to be a starting linebacker this year for a team that's looking to get better. They brought in a lot of guys on defense. They still got Brian Flores. I'm excited for the Minnesota Vikings. I'm excited for Ivan Pace Jr. I'm excited for Nick Bolton and what he does for the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm excited for David Long Jr. I hope he can stay healthy. These are the types of guys who showcase. It's not easy. The NFL is not clustered with sub-6 feet linebackers, but it can be done. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be back in the film room. We're coming back with some game recaps for tomorrow. And now,